Hey everyone, my name is Samantha and hopefully you guys have watched my previous videos from BTS and the New Year's Eve performances, and this one, as you guys can see by the title, is not New Year's Eve themed, but it is BTS, and it's going to be The Most Beautiful Life Goes On, a story of BTS 2021 update. It is a little bit not updated because it's from 5 months ago, and within 5 months BTS has already broken like so many records. So the reason I'm going to be watching this video is because we're going to be starting a new year. Obviously BTS has accomplished so much, and as an army it's really exciting to see how far along they have come and how far along they're going to get. So I just really love watching these videos of BTS and all their successes because they have worked so hard to get where they are, and they stayed true to themselves. They stayed true to ARMY, and I'm excited to see what year 2022 brings to us. Hopefully that world tour. I'm really excited. Hopefully I can get some tickets for myself. But with that being said, let's get started and hopefully we get an updated version. I love Asian Theory, how they did the whole video. I watched the 2021. This was the updated version, so I'm excited to watch this one. The other one was a year old. This one is 5 months old. So let's get started. BTS.
Today, everyone knows the name of BTS. They've been invited onto late-night talk shows, they've shattered records, they've sold out stadiums, they've made it onto the big screen. These days, you'd be hard-pressed to find someone who didn't know who these guys were, or at least haven't heard one of their songs. And if they don't,
you know of
either
anyone
they've
that
been
hasn't
living
heard
under
of
a rock,
BTS,
or
ARMY, it's
they're
up to
100
you
years
to
old.
educate
The
them.
success of the Bangtan Boys is worldwide, but it wasn't always like this.
The very existence of BTS can be owed to its founding father, an innovator by the name of Hitman Bang. His idea to create a rap group was somewhat inspired by YG. In the late 90s, he experimented with this idea with different trainees, eventually choosing 7 members. And while
YG
3 of them
looks so
eventually left, the
different.
remaining 4,
I'm not gonna
Teddy,
lie.
Danny, Jinhwan, and Baekhyun, debuted in 1998 as One Time. Their first album, titled One Time for Your Mind, was one of the year's best-selling albums and won several awards, including the Global Disc and SBS Music Awards for Best New Artist and KMTV's Award for Best Hip Hop Artist. The group enjoyed moderate success and released 4 more albums before going on indefinite hiatus in 2006 due to their mandatory military service.
The year was 2010,
I
and the
hope that doesn't
5-year-old
happen
company
with BTS.
Big Hit
I know they
Entertainment
signed up for
had
another
previously
7
signed
years,
2
but
artists, 88 and 2AM. They had their share of successes, but they were very traditional K-pop groups. Big Hit wanted a fresh new sound, and upon listening to One Time, CEO Hitman Kang Si-hyuk had decided that that was the sound that he was looking for. And on top of that, the youth needed someone to relate to, and more importantly, look up to. He had decided he would create a hip-hop group.
we've come a long way.
At 15 years old, Kim Namjoon auditioned for a certain Big Deal Records, which he completely botched, forgetting the lyrics to the song he was performing. Afterwards, fellow rapper Sleepy recommended that he try auditioning at another label, Big Hit, and even put in a good word for him to one of the producers there. At age 16, Namjoon auditioned in front of Bang Si-hyuk himself and instantly impressed him. He was offered a deal with Big Hit on the spot, which Namjoon accepted and became a trainee.
I feel like him and Bang had the biggest transformation ever.
Destined to become the leader of the newly created group.
Like all of the BTS members,
Now that a
like,
fearless leader was chosen,
obviously don't look like
need
when they
more
were
members.
younger because they're older, but like Hitman Bang went through a transformation.
Min Young-gi was a 17-year-old living in Daegu, an avid basketball player and rapper. He had been interested in music, especially rap, from a very early age, and despite his parents' disapproval, started performing as a rapper while still in high school. He quickly gained attention as a rapper and producer in the underground hip-hop scene. One day he saw a flyer for a rap competition called Hit It and decided to participate. And although he only placed second, the company hosting the competition, you guessed it, Big Hit, decided to sign him on as a producer. Hitman Bang spoke with him afterwards, convincing him
Little
to join
did
the
he
newly
know.
created hip-hop group. He told him to just focus on rapping and assured him that he wouldn't need to dance. He was lying. And just like that, the new group had a second member, known as Suga, a combination of the first two syllables of shooting guard, his favorite position in basketball. But they wouldn't stop there. Rappers were nice, but Big Hit actually needed a dancer. Jung Ho-seok always loved dancing. He was in the starting lineup of the dance crew Neuron in his hometown, Gwangju. He was good at it too, winning several local championships and even winning a championship at the national level in 2008. While he did perform at several competitions hosted by JYP and even won some of them, he ultimately went on to audition for a smaller, lesser-known company, Big Hit Entertainment.
I'm glad he did.
His dance skills and strong understanding of rhythm made him an instant favorite, and he was signed on as J-Hope. Not only that, but they saw potential in him to become a rapper, which at this point he had little experience with. However, J-Hope made the decision to leave Big Hit until RM convinced both J-Hope and Big Hit that the group wouldn't be complete without him.
Can you imagine BTS without J-Hope? No, I think not.
With the addition of J-Hope, the rap line was complete. Now they needed some singers. Now, just like how RM, an amazing rapper with a ton of experience, was chosen as the first official member of the rap line, it would only make sense that a legendary singer and dancer would be the perfect first member of the vocal line. Right? But Kim Seok-jin didn't have any sort of experience like that. Believe it or not, one day when he was walking on the streets of his hometown, Anyang, he was approached by a representative of SM Entertainment with an offer to work for the company. In typical Jin fashion, he never followed up with it because he believed it to be a scam. Apparently, Jin was a very good-looking guy because years later, this time as a college student in Seoul, he was once again approached on the street, this time by an executive at Big Hit Entertainment. He didn't sing, he didn't dance. He was at school to become an actor, and he decided to audition
But he's so
to
good at
become an actor.
singing.
Big Hit, however, had different plans for him, and convinced him to become a vocalist for their new group. To do so, he literally learned to dance and sing starting from zero, but thankfully, not without help from other vocalists.
Jungkook.
John Jungkook initially had dreams of becoming a badminton player when he was young, but after seeing G-Dragon perform Heartbreaker on television, it influenced him to want to become a singer instead. Because of this, at only age 14, he decided to audition for the South Korean talent show, Superstar K. He didn't pass auditions, but this was just enough to catch the eye of not one company, not two companies,
He looked
but
so
7
nervous.
different companies. This included JYP, FNC,
I mean, I would be
Starship
too.
Entertainment, TS, Cube, and of course, Big Hit Entertainment. So why did Jungkook, given the choice of all these bigger companies, decide to go with the relatively smaller company, Big Hit? The answer was simple. Because he thought, and I quote, RM was cool, so I wanted to sign with them. That brings the number of members to 5. The next member of BTS was just as surprised to find Big Hit as Big Hit was to find him. And it
RM
almost
must have been
didn't
really
happen.
cool for Taeyeon.
Kim Tae-young was always passionate about music, and it was always his dream to pursue it as a career. However, it was hard, as his family was poor, his parents being humble farmers. His father told him that if he was passionate about music, he should learn an instrument, and he did, spending 3 years practicing with the saxophone. One day, one of his friends decided to audition for Big Hit Entertainment when they were holding auditions in his hometown of Daegu. Taeyoung, being a good friend, came with him to keep him company. But when one of the team members in charge of the audition saw Taeyoung, he encouraged him to
Is
audition.
that the
as
video
well.
of
With
him
nothing to lose,
auditioning?
he did. That day, he was the only one in Daegu to move on to the next round of auditions, and eventually became a trainee for Big Hit Entertainment. They decided to keep him as a surprise member and didn't want to reveal him as one of the members
can't get
until
over
his debut.
RM's
In the same
hair.
vein, Big Hit had him choose something mysterious for his stage name. He decided to go with V for Victory. Here seems like a nice round number to
Victory
stop,
they
right?
got.
6 members for a new hip-hop group, 3 rappers and 3 vocalists. It seems like a complete group, but still there was something missing. Someone was missing. Someone that could take this already great group of artists and push it even further to achieve perfection. A powerhouse. Someone so naturally talented that they could stand out in a room full of already talented artists. This project that Big Hit had embarked upon needed a capstone.
Park Jimin.
Park Jimin was a naturally talented dancer. When he was in middle school, he attended a dance academy and continued to pursue dance at Busan High School of Arts, where he studied contemporary dance and was the top student in the whole modern dance department. Impressed by his raw talent, a teacher encouraged him to audition for Big Hit Entertainment, who were holding auditions in Busan. He was only 16 when he passed the audition and moved to Seoul to become a trainee. He was the final member of the group, and he also had the shortest training period. Interesting to note is that the group feels very much ragtag because, in a sense, with the exception of Jimin and J-Hope, it was. RM auditioned for Big Hit because he didn't pass his auditions with the first company he chose.
And despite their amazing talent, Suga and Jungkook didn't win the competitions they were in, but they signed on to Big Hit after the fact because of their high-quality performances. V never even planned on auditioning and just decided to do it on a whim. And they literally just found Jin on the streets. But perhaps it was fate,
Sometimes that's all
because
you
this
need.
was the group that they chose. And just like that, in 2012, the newly created Bangtanso년dan, the Bulletproof Boy Scouts, or simply BTS, was 7.
저도 아침에 리허설 때 이거 보고 많이 웃었습니다.
They had the group, but they still needed the music. In early 2013, they set out to create some social media presence for themselves before officially debuting, posting song covers on both SoundCloud and YouTube, which you can still go watch today.
In May, Big Hit launched a countdown clock on their website in preparation for BTS's debut album, complete with a trailer and a ton of promotional material, including photos for the first time of all the members in the official lineup. Finally, the big day came. June 12, 2013, BTS held a press conference and a debut showcase where they performed their 2 singles, No More Dream and We Are Bulletproof Part 2. The same day, the Too Cool for School album, as well as the music video for No More Dream, were released.
Their aesthetic has gone like a 180.
The very next day, BTS performed the song again on their official debut stage on Mnet's M Countdown. This was the world's first taste of BTS. Commercially, the album didn't do extraordinarily well. The lead single, No More Dream, peaked at 124 in Korea, and the album sold only 24,000 copies during its first year. Bulletproof Part 2 didn't even chart. The first year wasn't all that great for BTS, but despite everything, people saw them. People saw the sparkle in their eyes and their limitless potential. And they were hot, of course. On July 9th, ARMY was established as BTS's official fandom. They made their comeback only 2 months later in September when they released their single, No, along with their EP, part 2 of what would be their school trilogy, Oh, Are You Late 2. In the music video for the single, they made a commentary on the harsh Korean education system, along with their previous themes of hopes and dreams. No peaked at 92 in Korea, but also quickly fell off the charts. The album debuted at number 4 on the Gaon Weekly chart and was the 55th best-selling album in South Korea that year. This was enough to secure them the coveted New Artist of the Year award at the Melon Music Awards, the Golden Disc Awards, and the Seoul Music Awards. Part 3 of the School trilogy was released in February of 2014, the EP School Love Affair. This time, the lead single was Boy in Love, and the other single being Just One Day. The album, as well as both singles, enjoyed moderate success, with the album topping the Gaon album chart, as well as making its first
They look so
international appearance
young.
at number 3 on the Billboard
Obviously
World
they
Albums
were.
chart.
They're like-
The album also marked
Jungkook
their
was like
first distinctive
15.
change in theme, focusing more on school life and young love, as evidenced by their Boy in Love music video. They also held their first fan meetings with a crowd of 3,000 in Seoul. BTS was doing well. That is, until July. This is, unfortunately, a dark chapter in the lives of BTS and ARMY. That's
I actually really like that
American
show.
Hustle Life. I'm joking, of course, but American
It was
Hustle Life was a
cringy, but
reality
it was
show put
good.
together by Mnet that brought BTS to Los Angeles, where they had the unique opportunity to learn the true ways of hip-hop from the masters. And it was a pretty darn cringy opportunity, but an opportunity nonetheless. Whatever you do, just don't watch the Warren G version of Boy in Love. You've been warned. However, cringe and all, the trip proved fruitful for BTS, making connections, performing their first US concert for free in front of 200 fans, as well as their first appearance at KCON. The next month, in August, BTS released their first full-length studio album, Dark and Wild. The album featured 2 singles, Danger and War of Hormone. The album featured a marked shift in sound with a touch of R&B and electronica. It was met with moderate success. It peaked at number 2 in Korea, selling over 200,000 albums. In October and again in May of the following year, BTS went on their first and second concert tours, known as the Red Bullet Tour, where they visited 13 different countries, including Japan, the Philippines, Australia, the US, Mexico, and many others. They also came out with their first Japanese album in December, Wake Up, featuring many Japanese versions of their songs as well as original tracks Wake Up and The Stars, followed by a Japan tour and a solo concert in Korea. Although Dark and Wild got decent attention, they needed something different. They needed something that would shake things up. They got to work. April 29, 2015 was their comeback. When this album was produced, each member had a hand in writing songs for the album. They again changed their sound from aggressive.
I know a lot of the choreographers that worked with BTS in the beginning say like that they were really rough and their dancing wasn't the best. But you know, I see performances when they first started off and they look super good, like to me. I don't know, just because I don't have any dance experience and I don't know like if they're doing right or wrong, but it looks like they're super good. Like they made everything look so effortless. Even back then.
It was sentimental, it was hopeful, it was new. Just by looking at the music video, we can see that BTS has also ditched their punk bad boy image and replaced it with a more real, vulnerable, down-to-earth, and youthful feel. This proved to be the change that BTS needed for mainstream success. Billboard called it one of the greatest K-pop songs of the decade. It charted at number 5 in Korea, and even led them
It's
to
still
their
one of my
music show
favorites
on
to this day.
SBS MTV's The Show. And that wasn't all. They released their second single, Dope, on June 24th, which started off with a poignant line from RM.
어서 와. 방탄은 처음이지?
Welcome. Is this your first time with BTS? And you know what? For a lot of people, it was. In a way, their first studio album and tour can be seen as their stepping stone between old school BTS and new school. In November, they came back with their follow-up EP, The Most Beautiful Moment in Life, Part 2, the second EP in what would be dubbed the Youth Trilogy, which featured the single Run. The album focused even more on the frivolity, friendship, and carefree attitude that comes with enjoying one's youth. But just like in I Need You, contrasted that with suffering, depression, loneliness, society, and the stark and sometimes dark reality of life. Compare this with the far cry of the No More Dreams music video. It felt real. It was darker, grittier, more humble, more meaningful, and most importantly, RM lost his mohawk. Run also connected narratively with their previous single, I Need
And the
You,
glasses.
and another video released in September titled On Stage Prologue established what would come to be known as the BTS universe, or the BU, which would eventually combine music videos, short films, books, short stories, webtoons, and even a mobile game to create a cohesive story.
I need to watch the webtoon. I feel like that's the only thing I need to do, that and download the mobile game.
If you're a hardcore army. The same month, they kicked off their third tour, The Most Beautiful Moment in Life On Stage Tour, where they performed songs from their 2 recent EPs, Part 1 and Part 2. And Part 2 was a hit, their biggest so far. It topped the weekly Gaon album and Billboard World Albums charts. And on Billboard, it stayed there for multiple weeks, the first K-pop act to do so. It also appeared on the Billboard 200 albums chart. Not world albums, which was reserved for foreign non-English songs, but simply the top 200 albums, peaking at 171. Which is kind of amazing considering that this was back in 2015. They also received Best World Performer at the 17th Mnet Asian Music Awards. This brings us to Part 3 of the Youth Trilogy, The Most Beautiful Moment in Life, Young Forever, released on May 2nd, 2016, which featured probably my favorite BTS album cover. Young Forever was actually a compilation album of parts 1 and 2, so it was mostly the same songs, but it was notable that it had some new singles, Epilogue, Young Forever, Fire, and Save Me. The latter two performed exceptionally well, with both songs topping the Billboard World Digital Songs chart. This was also the second BTS album to chart on the Billboard 200 at 107, and it topped both the Gaon Weekly and Monthly chart, which earned BTS their first Daesang.
We're so
Album of the
shocked.
Year at the 8th Melon Music Awards. They went on to do the second half of their tour, The Most Beautiful Moment in Life On Stage Epilogue, selling out many of their concerts and even selling out KCON in the US where they headlined the event. In September, they dropped their second Japanese album, Youth, featuring Japanese versions of tracks from their previous 3 EPs, which went gold and peaked at #1 on Japanese charts. And only a month later, in October of 2016, it happened. BTS dropped their second studio album, Wings. It sold over 500,000 copies in its first week. In comparison,
So
The Most
many
Beautiful Moment in
copies.
Life Part 1, released just the previous year, which topped the Gaon chart, sold about 500,000 in its entire lifetime. Wings was big, but the true showstopper was its lead single, Blood, Sweat, and Tears,
That's my favorite.
which got them their first all-kill, topping 8 music charts in South Korea. Its music video gained 6 million views in the first 24 hours, which broke the YouTube record for the highest number of views of a K-pop group music video within 24 hours. The album hit number 26 on the Billboard 200, the highest ever charting K-pop album on Billboard. They ended up selling 1.5 million copies in South Korea in 2016 alone, and it netted them the Artist of the Year award at the Eminent Asian Music Awards that same year, the first non-Big Three artist ever to receive that award.
수상자는 방탄소년단.
After Blood, Sweat, and Tears, they were on a roll. BTS was unstoppable. In February of 2017, they released the instant hit Spring Day, which, quoting a Korean reviewer, embodied nostalgia and sorrow and opened a new chapter in BTS's
That one's one of my other
aesthetics and
favorites.
lyricism, and
All of them are
attracted fans
favorites.
across generations. Which, by the way, is still on Korean charts
It's so
after nearly
sad.
4 years. And the same day I'm writing this, it ranked number 53 on Melon. It won Song of the Year at the 9th Melon Music Awards. After the release of Spring Day, they went on yet another tour, the 2017 BTS Live Trilogy, Episode 3, The Wings Tour. The tickets sold out within minutes, including in the United States, the first K-pop artist to do so, and went on to win Best Social Artist at the Billboard Music Awards. The first for a Korean artist, but they would go on to win this award 4 years in a row. The next year was a period of massive growth for both the group's popularity as well as their style. They released the Love Yourself series, starting with Love Yourself Her in September of 2017, Love Yourself Tear in May of 2018, and Love Yourself Answer in August of 2018. 3 albums that gave us some of the most classic BTS songs that we know and love today, such as Mic Drop, Fake Love, Euphoria, Idol, and of course, all 3 albums were commercial successes, Her being their first album to top 2 million album sales. But Tear and Answer also did equally well. These 3 albums, as well as their Japanese album, Face Yourself, proved that they weren't done yet, not even close. During this time, they
They're
shattered
still not
countless
done.
records. Their singles went platinum, they topped charts, they won awards. And not only did they break YouTube records, but they broke records that they themselves set again
Still doing
and
it.
again and again. This is the period where BTS really started enjoying global recognition, working with huge Western artists such as Nicki Minaj, Designer, and Steve Aoki. It wasn't their first time having international features on their songs, but it was
Coldplay,
definitely the biggest.
Megan,
And even though they were
so
already,
many more.
without a doubt, the biggest act to ever come out of
Halsey.
South Korea, they had their eyes set even higher. They went on tour once again for the Love Yourself World Tour. During this tour, they collaborated with Steve Aoki to make the song Wasted on Me. Notable for being their first all-English feature, and it also served as a jumping-off point for BTS to gain a following of English speakers. Not that they really needed the help, as they sold out concerts even in the US leg of the tour, including at Citi Field in Queens, New York.
I wanna go to
Tickets
one of their
sold out in 20
concerts.
minutes. And as if that wasn't enough, they dropped the movie in November, Burn the Stage, which in the US alone grossed $3.54 million in the first weekend, breaking
to
the
watch
record
the
set by
movie.
One Direction's movie, This Is Us. In September, RM had the unique opportunity to speak at the United Nations, where he spoke of anti-violence and self-love. 2 years later, he would be offered to speak on a second occasion about persistence and hope in the face of challenges. And to top it all off, in October, the president of South Korea awarded every member of BTS the 5th class Hwangwon Order of Cultural Merit for outstanding meritorious services in the field of culture and art, which is one of the highest South Korean orders of merit one can receive. And that's no exaggeration. 2019 estimates put BTS's contribution to the South Korean economy to the tune of $4.65 billion each year, an equivalent to 0.3% of the country's GDP. They were the
Can you
youngest to ever
imagine?
receive
Billions, not
2019
millions,
BTS
billions.
Like Grammys, Time Magazine, Billboard, BTS entered a new era. Not an era of simply global recognition, but global dominance. April 12, 2019, enter Map of the Soul Persona. First things first, you can't mention Map of the Soul Persona without mentioning Boy With Love. It was simple math. What do you get when you cross the singer of one of the best charting songs of all time that went platinum 59 times in 13 different countries with, without a question, the most globally dominant pop group of all time? Well, you get this. Nothing less than an instant hit. Number 8 on Billboard Hot 100, platinum in the US, 21 music show wins, number 1 on iTunes in 67 different countries. The most liked and the most viewed YouTube video in the first 24 hours. The fastest video to reach 100 million views. A current view count of over 1 billion views. 7 boys, 1 girl, and 7 different hair colors. They were the talk of the town, invited to talk show after talk show after talk show. The second single on the album was Make It Right.
I can make it right.
Written by Ed Sheeran himself, including a version featuring Loud. The album debuted at number 1 on Gaon and sold 3.2 million copies its first month, and that's only in Korea. It became the best-selling album in South Korea ever. It swept every major Korean music show, winning Album of the Year in each one of them. They followed up this legendary EP with the Love Yourself, Speak Yourself World Tour, where they sold out both the Rose Bowl and the Wembley Stadium in only an hour, the only non-English speaking act to do so. They even performed as a solo act in Saudi Arabia, the first foreign act to do that. The last stop of their tour was at South Korea's largest venue.
Can you imagine if they perform at Wembley Stadium again?
$200 million.
Hopefully more armies
also
will get a
created
chance
visual
to
novel style game for mobile devices called BTS World, where the player can interact with the members. This also came with an original soundtrack with tracks unique to the game featuring Western artists. Zara Larsson, Charlie XCX, and Juice WRLD for the tracks A Brand New Day, Dream Glow, and All
Did
My
you
Perspective.
listen to the new
In December of 2019,
collab
the group swept the
that
grand prizes for
Yoongi
both
did
the
with
Melon
Juice WRLD?
and Mnet Music Award shows, the first artist to do that. Map of the Soul Persona was legendary, truly a marvel in modern music.
So, how could BTS follow up the best-selling album in South Korean history, you may ask?
Easy. Make an even better selling album. And that's what they did with Map of the Soul 7. The album was released on February 21st of 2020, featuring the singles Black Swan.
That's my first time No, never mind. Just kidding.
And On. And sold over 4.1 million albums in just the first week, and the first Korean album to be certified as quadruple million on the Gaon Music Chart. It debuted at number 1 on music charts all over the world,
I
including the
love
US, Korea, the
Black
UK,
Swan.
Japan, and much of Europe.
Still one of my
It's not an
favorite
exaggeration to say that
performance
this album left a
videos,
permanent mark
music
on the world,
videos
launching
wise.
BTS into
That one
legendary
and
status
Blood, Sweat,
and
and
becoming the
Tears.
best-selling artist in South Korean history. BTS had scheduled a Map of the Soul tour for April of that year, which would have undoubtedly outsold their record-breaking tour only a year prior. But unfortunately, the COVID pandemic caused the entire tour to be postponed, including the show at the Rose Bowl, which I was supposed to attend. But that didn't stop BTS, who performed virtual concerts, spoke at the Dear Class of 2020 graduation event, and released the Japanese version of their recent album with an original Japanese single, Stay Gold.
Stay gold.
And to top it all off, this was only June. At this point, it was clear that BTS had already dominated their home turf, and they had topped the music
And they've already
charts
done
all
so
over the
much in
world.
just 5
This time,
months.
their sight was set for the very top. Remember that scene in The Social Network where Mark and Sean talk about how they don't want $1 million, they want $1 billion. How they're not interested in catching 14 trout, but they'd rather catch an 800-pound marlin? Well, that's what they set their sights on. The marlin, the biggest music industry in the world, the United States. And at
And
the
they
top
have
of that music industry, number 1
dominated.
on Billboard Hot 100. This
Let's
small
no
group from a company
crumbs.
that virtually no one had heard about 8 years ago planned to take on Goliath himself and dominate the American industry on their home turf. And all they had to do
They're in full
was speak
control.
English. August 21st, enter Dynamite. Their first English single, simultaneously
Every single time I hear
performed better than
Dynamite,
anyone had
it
expected,
reminds
but
me
at
of
the
In the
same time, it's
Soup where
exactly
Jungkook is
what
just
we as an
running.
audience had come to
Wake
expect
up in the
from the
morning,
legendary
rock
boy
and
band
rock
themselves.
roll.
And they did
He's
it.
just
They
running
reached
and
number
Namjoon's
1
just
on
reading
the
a
US
book.
Billboard Hot 100, the Global 200, and the Global excluding US chart. And they made sure that if you hadn't heard of them before, you definitely have now. And if that wasn't already the biggest flex, on October 2nd, they came out with Savage Love BTS Remix with Jason Derulo,
Savage loving, need somebody break your heart.
getting number 1
Talk
on the
about a
Billboard
fail of a
100
collab.
again, less than 2 months after already
Backstabbing.
getting number 1 with Dynamite, and on the Global 200, where
I
they
literally
actually
blocked him.
replaced themselves at number 1, the first
Like,
artist
I don't
to
need
do
that
so
negativity
ever.
in my life.
And this is where we stopped in the original video, October of 2020. So, what's happened since then? Well, not much. On November 20th, their 5th studio album, B, was released, featuring the hit single Life Goes On. B was met with critical acclaim and hit number 1 on Billboard 200 and the World Albums Chart, the 5th BTS album to do so, along with topping worldwide charts in countries like Belgium, Canada, Japan, New Zealand, Norway, Poland, Portugal, and of course, their hometown, South Korea. And in spite of all these accolades, perhaps the biggest winner was Life Goes On. A synth-pop showstopper encouraging its audience to continue living life even in the midst of a global pandemic. The message was clear: don't give up, life goes on. It hit number 1 on the Billboard Hot 100, the 3rd BTS song to do so. BTS gave the fans what they wanted with Life Goes On. Life Goes On joined the exclusive club of only 8 songs to ever top the Billboard Hot 100 that were not in English, a title most recently held by Despacito. But it was the first to do it in BTS's native tongue, Korean.
But Bad Bunny and Tiny, Intentions by Justin Bieber and Quavo, Dynamite by BTS, Rain.
I still can't
The
believe
same month,
BTS was
the
the only
Academy
nominated
announced
for
that
one Grammy
BTS's
this
Dynamite
year.
would be nominated for the Best Pop
I
Duo
mean,
Group Performance.
I can believe
along with
it,
songs
but
by J
it's
Balvin,
'cause
Justin
it's
Bieber,
like
Lady Gaga,
scandalous.
and Taylor Swift.
But
This marked the first time
they
a Korean
deserved
pop
more.
artist was nominated for a Grammy. In December, BTS was invited to sing for Disney's holiday sing-along. And on New Year's Eve, Big Hit put on a New Year's concert where they performed again.
just reacted to that
Things
video.
look
Check
really
it out.
good for BTS and their Grammy nomination, especially since on March 4th, 2021, the official news came. The International Federation of the Phonographic Industry, or IFPI, announced BTS as the Global Recording Artist of the Year, an
As
award
they
given to
should.
the best-selling artist of 2020, period, beating out 9 other prominent Western artists, making them the first artist from Korea, but perhaps more importantly, the first non-English artist to do so. Later that month, the Grammys, the main event that everyone was waiting for, finally arrived. With bated breath, BTS and the world watched. And, well,
And the Grammy goes to Rain on Me, Lady Gaga, Ariana Grande.
I didn't even hear Rain on Me. I remember I heard when it first came out, but like that was it. It was only like 2-3 days that there was like hype on it.
The Grammys, after presenting at the Grammys the year prior. March 31st, 2021,
Unlike
Big Hit
Dynamite, where it
Entertainment
was heard
officially rebranded
everywhere,
as Hybe,
even though it
completely
didn't really
revamped
get
their
any
organization.
radio time.
BTS now falls under Big Hit Music, which is now a subsidiary of Hybe Labels, a division of the Hybe Corporation. 2 days later, Hybe acquires Scooter Braun's Ithaca Holdings. Scooter Braun Projects is a subsidiary of Ithaca Holdings that manages several artists, including Ariana Grande, Justin Bieber, J Balvin, Carly Rae Jepsen, Black Eyed Peas, Demi Lovato, and others, which means that those artists are now part of the same family as BTS. Then, at long last, BTS announced their highly anticipated follow-up single to their smash English hit, Dynamite. And that single was Butter. May 21st, 2021.
Better remix
It
too.
didn't disappoint. The retro summer pop hit met immediate success, and on May 26th, the BTS meal launched.
9 weeks.
Yeah, that
I
happened.
believe charted #1.
June 16th, BTS releases their 3rd Japanese compilation album, known as BTS The Best. It instantly hit #1 on Japan's Oricon chart and sold over 1 million albums, the first and only Korean boy group so far to accomplish this feat. The new Japanese single, Film Out, was released 2 months earlier and debuted at #1 on the Oricon chart. and as an interesting fact, charted at 185 on the Billboard 200 excluding US chart, joining Dynamite and Life Goes On, making BTS the only artist to ever have 3 songs in 3 different languages on the Billboard 200. On July 1st, following an organizational restructuring, the Hype Corporation announced that Hitman Bang, our same Hitman Bang who got the boys together, resigned as CEO of the company in order to focus on his passion for music production. And
As
while
he
he is
should.
still the chairman of the board of directors, he was replaced as CEO by Park Ji-won. On July 7th, BTS became official models for Louis Vuitton as they walked the runway for part of their men's fall-winter 2021 collection. They were named as ambassadors only 2 months prior, and then for their teaser trailer, they forgot to put V in the video. And finally, that brings us to July 9th, Permission to Dance, which was released only a few days ago. The hit song, which was written by Ed Sheeran, spreads positive vibes as the world starts to recover from the global pandemic. Its YouTube debut saw 72.3 million views in the first 24 hours, placing itself at number 6 of the top 10 most viewed music videos in the first 24 hours. Out of BTS's past 5 singles, 3 of them have been fully in English. And while this trend has been concerning for some fans who have been wanting more traditional Korean pop songs, there's no denying that
I can't
BTS
wait
has enjoyed
to see
global
what 2020
recognition like
2022
no other
brings us.
international and particularly
I know
non-English
they
group
were
before
out
them.
here in LA
That itself
working
is a sign
on
of success
different
that can't be
collabs,
ignored.
writing
And as a
their
fun
own
fact, there's a line
solos.
in the song
I
referencing
know
legendary
J-Hope's in
singer-songwriter
the studio
Elton
right
John.
now.
When it all seems like it's wrong, sing along to Elton John and to that feeling.
He gave the song his personal approval.
Sing along to BTS.
So what makes BTS so special? How did they achieve all this? K-pop is a genre that spans for at least 30 years, and there have been hundreds of boy groups and hundreds of girl groups. What did BTS do to rise above all of them and break through to markets never before seen?
Historically, the boy band industry has been dominated by white English-speaking bands. And the fact that BTS has not only held their own, but blew any sign of competition out of the water on a global scale can be attributed to nothing less than their talent, hard work, and a bit of a 1 in a million miracle. They did it through their own blood, sweat, and tears, so to speak.
Around the world, we
They
see
did.
that boy bands have pretty much fallen into obscurity, but BTS is thriving. And though I've stated this all before, it's worth saying again, in contrast to other bands,
There's
who
something
sing about
different about them.
romantic
Like,
relationships with girls and what some
I
would call predictable bubblegum
am
pop
right now
hits,
trying
BTS is
to
continuously
get
pushing
into
the envelope
different
and changing their
artists, but like
styles.
no
According
one
to an article by
is the
Vulture.com, they
same
describe this
as
style as much
BTS.
less
Like,
successful
and they
than
shouldn't. Like,
Backstreet
everyone
Boys
should
and
be
more successors of
individual.
Michael Jackson,
Everyone
whose
has their
choreography and
own
charisma were unprecedented.
ideas
While, of course, there's a lot of
and
love for the
have
angelic
their
vocals of
own
BTS, rap has also played
special
a very
thing to
important
them,
part in
but like
creating their own style.
it's not the
For
same.
contrast
Like
to
the
typical
feeling,
boy band
the
where every
feeling.
member sings
Like, you
some
know what I mean?
refreshing
I don't
line in the
know.
middle
I don't
of
know
the
how to
song.
describe
You
it, but
hear
like
RM's
there's no one
raw
other than
rapping
BTS.
skills, J-Hope's energy, or Suga's soul put into every single line. Interestingly enough, at the first glance, it seems that the success of BTS was miraculous, despite not being part of the Big Three. But it can also be argued that their success was because of their separation from the Big Three. Their label, Big Hit Entertainment, whose founder emphasizes artistic freedom more than anything else, allowed them to make their own sound. And going back to BTS universe,
were
it's
the
not often that
blueprint.
a K-pop group does something special with each of their songs and albums, utilizing strong storytelling that can go beyond simply the song itself, but rather interconnected with other songs and even other albums to create one large overarching story. And not only do they all have their own expertise in performance, but also each of them have had the experience of writing and producing their own music, and they're not afraid to let their style evolve over time. BTS during their debut is such a far cry from Wings era BTS and current day BTS. They also chose to tackle more adult issues instead of simply love and girls. While they definitely didn't have a shortage of those, they also cover other very important issues such as mental health, regret, following your dreams, hard work, self-love, and many, many, many others. Add that to the fact that as fans, we can feel the authenticity of the members themselves. They seem approachable. BTS seems
They
like
really do.
there's a place for every type of fan. And in this fast-paced world where things change at unthinkable speeds, BTS has stayed grounded and faithful to who they were and who they are. Those kids we saw on American Hustle Life, along with their dreams and passions, are the same men who stand before us
They're
today.
literally
And
the
while
same.
some
Like, I
artists
don't
like to
feel like
keep their
there's
personal
anything
lives
that's really
private,
changed.
BTS gives us a look at their personal lives through their vlogs, which allows us to become more connected to them than ever before.
What is truly amazing is that they're doing this all while singing in their native tongue, Korean. Their music holds so much power that it literally breaks through the barriers of language. And no, they're not done yet. They've shown that they're capable of dominating music charts across the world and even reaching across the Pacific Ocean and conquering the music industry in the United States. What's next for
They've
them?
broken like
Mars?
13 Guinness
In any
World
case,
Records, I believe.
They've only started in 2013, and BTS is as strong as it's ever been.
And that's our 2021 update. There's been lots of exciting news for the group so far, and I'm gonna guess that 2021 will still have a lot of surprises waiting for us. Thank you to everyone who watched the original video. We've changed some of the information to make it more accurate or easier to understand. We're always looking to improve our videos, so if you find something that needs improving, leave a comment below. A big shout out to our almost 160,000 subscribers. You guys are amazing. And remember, to break your plans, live like you're golden, and roll in like you're dancing fools. Thanks for watching, everyone.
Thank you for the video, Asian Theory. Alright, so that was the 2021 update on BTS, The Most Beautiful Life Goes On. Obviously, there has been so much that the BTS has accomplished within these 5 months since this video was out. And I feel like this video, instead of being 38 minutes long, it's gonna be like 2 hours long, just based on like accomplishments that they have gotten so far. And obviously, as an ARMY, I'm proud to be an ARMY and of BTS and all their hard work and everything that they have succeeded. I can't wait for 2022, for their concert, their world tour, to see more fan cams, what they bring, and also to hear those solos. I believe they're working on them. I know Yoongi just posted one with Juice WRLD, and V, Christmas Tree, just amazing. And I know J-Hope's in the studio. Hopefully we get Hope World 2. And I know Namjoon was also in LA recording. He had his own little studio. So obviously 2022 is going to be another year for BTS. And thank y'all for watching. Hopefully we'll watch the next videos together as well to see what 2022 has brought us, and we'll react together. Thank y'all for watching and happy holidays.